Choose your character.
So for 2022, I originally intended to start working on a horror game, a gravity game, and a Patreon-only game called Test, where the game would evolve as I developed more things or more games. But those projects didn't really come to fruition. And I want to make this video to kind of touch on why they didn't and what I learned over the year. I also want to talk about 2023 and where I believe I'll be heading in the game development journey that I'm on. So first off, for 2022, the projects that I was working on, I realized that these projects were very intensive on work and I do not have a lot of time to work on them. So working on 3 projects at the same time and trying to create content about them and build an audience on YouTube probably wasn't my smartest route. I originally intended to learn as I go working on these projects and use the test project as the starting point for the horror game, and then as the horror game developed more, it would become its own project, and then as I worked on the gravity game, the test project would slowly develop into that portion. So some issues that I ran into: the lack of knowledge on human anatomy and character development and modeling, sculpting, all those aspects. Although I did believe that I was capable because of schoolwork that I've done, I just didn't have enough confidence in the work that I was doing. And that really showed with my sculpts and my knowledge in animation. So basically I failed on every aspect of this. I had originally started working on the horror game in Unreal Engine 5. This was a school project for my post-processing class. I really wanted to make the game more polished and feel like it was an actual demo that I could pitch to a publisher, but that didn't really come to fruition. So a lot of the problems here were due to hardware issues. I wasn't able to actually run Unreal Engine 5 on my computer. My computer lagged way too much, and I encountered so many issues with animation and implementing the monster and then running its animations. I just had zero knowledge in this in any shape or form. To dial it back, I decided to just scrap this game until I get better knowledge in the game design and game development field. I wanted to work more on core gameplay, focus on something simple. So to dial back the work that I would have to do, I decided to just hold off on the horror game and work on the anti-gravity game with my 2 friends. Both of them are great at what they do. One is a designer, the other one an artist. I believed that working on this project would get my hands on an actual product that I could then pitch to a publisher, learn about marketing and stuff like that. I encountered various issues with this. Unreal Engine doesn't really handle altering gravity too well. Most of the issues were with animation as well as the ground check. Whenever you invert the gravity, the character will just seem to be floating. So in order for me to fix this, I decided to work on a drone where the drone can actually pick the player up and move him. And then at that point, the game just didn't feel fun. It was just pick up player, move player, cross obstacle, drop player, and I just couldn't imagine the game or get the feel of the game to be the way that I wanted it. So then I added in like projectiles, and it was just, the scope of the game was just beginning to grow and grow and grow. I'm sure that there is a way to get the gravity to work in Unreal Engine. I just don't know enough about Unreal Engine or C++ to get it to work properly. And there aren't really any tutorials on doing this, so I didn't want to work outside of my scope again. So as the project was being developed, my 2 other friends actually moved on to better things. It became a one-man job, and it just really seemed like the game wasn't coming to fruition. So at that point, I was like, well, I should just scrap this idea too. And at this point, I really felt beat down. I was pretty lost. I felt pretty discouraged with my game dev journey, with having a failed college project that I worked on for a year with 13 other people, and then 2 post-college projects that also seemed way out of scope and just ended up in failure. So after that, I got a message from one of my friends about a game jam that had a grand prize of $20,000 for the top 4 games. It was the Latin X Game Jam. So for this game jam, I decided to ask some of my friends from work that actually went to Full Sail and see if they wanted to make a game with me and try to win the $20,000. The theme of the game jam was actually tradition, so my team and I decided to do something that didn't have any violence. That was one of the challenges in the game jam. We wanted the game to focus on a viajante that would walk around the festival and learn more about the three wise men who visited Jesus. We planned on the game being similar to that of A Nightmare Before Christmas, where you were visited by one of the three kings and have to go through their levels and learn about them. And although we lost the game jam, I felt pretty proud of the game overall. I did a lot of the 3D modeling as well as the design and a little bit of coding. I feel like the game came out fairly well considering the fact that none of us actually had mobile game development or even participated in a game jam before. We were all just fresh out of college and just working on the project. So now that 2022 is over, I'm officially starting over for 2023. I'm going to be making the most unoriginal game I can possibly make, and I'm going to do it all in Godot. So for this unoriginal game, it's not something that you might be expecting. It has something that everyone loves though, and that's right, donuts. I decided I'm going to make a game about a donut in a forest that has to fight off various kitchen utensils as well as different pastries. I chose Godot because it's open source, just like Blender. And what I have been seeing for Godot 4.0 makes me want to dive right in. I think Godot really has the opportunity to grow and be as popular as Unreal and Unity. Plus, the ability to access the source code for the engine and alter it to fit whatever my needs are is a big plus. I don't think that I'll ever have to do that, but it's nice to know that if I ever need to, I can. I would also like to add that the way Godot works with its nodes and scenes makes the idea of a test game so much more plausible to work on. As for why donuts, well, since I can't model or animate, I chose the most popular Blender tutorial on YouTube. Why don't we play as a donut in a forest? And you fight other pastries or kitchen utensils, I don't know. It's just an idea. I'm gonna use the donut game as the start of my test game, the test game possible. Now, with that being said, I do have a schedule. I planned out the entire year. I wrote an entire plan for what I'll be working on throughout the year. While I'm working on this, I do want to say that I'm still going through Mark Burnett's art school. I'm still going through CG Boost sculpting tutorials, and I'm still looking up and reading any Godot information that I can get my hands on. I also purchased some books about level design, game design, and other important topics that go into game development, and I'm really looking forward to reading them. So, to wrap up this video, I want you all to know that I'm going to be working towards creating at least one video a month about the donut game, and I hope you accompany me on this journey to becoming a better game developer.